What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got another Cyberpunk themed video for you guys. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about drugs in Cyberpunk 2020 and Red, and just the whole Cyberpunk universe, and what key thing drugs do in the world of Cyberpunk. But before we get into that, I want to point you guys to the Discord. Join the community made Discord for Cyberpunk Red and 2020. The link will be in the description below. Join our community. We all talk about Cyberpunk. We share awesome battle maps, and we got people making tokens. We got all kinds of really cool stuff. And if you want to learn and connect with me about Cyberpunk, then that's the best place to do it. Second of all, I have some really super exciting news to let you guys know. Artel has sent me the Cyberpunk Red Core Rules Beta, and it's essentially the whole thing, but they said that it's called beta because they reserve the right to change anything before printing begins. But essentially, it's got everything: weapons, cyberware, net running. It's got everything. There's no need for a 2020 core rulebook to fill in any gaps or anything like that. We're about to do a actual play of the Cyberpunk Red beta rules with the Wise guys really soon. I let them know, they're psyched about it. We made characters. I'm setting up the Roll20, and it's going to be broadcast at ArchaeoGaming Con. That's right, it's a gaming convention that has to do with archaeology, and I was invited to it. It's called ArchaeoGaming Con, and my game will debut on August 1st at 12 p.m. I'll have to check on the time zone, but I'll make sure that there will be a link in the description below. It'll be August 1st at 12 p.m. It'll be pre-recorded, premiering live on Twitch, and then after that, I'll have it on my channel so you guys can, get it the normal way. Speaking of other things, make sure you are subscribed to the Tabletop Cyberpunk podcast. That is the podcast that I do where I talk about Cyberpunk. I'm on all the social media. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everything. All right? Make sure you guys follow all that. All right, let's talk about drugs.
This is crack. Rock cocaine.
First of all, let's talk about where you can find them in the books. So in the Cyberpunk 2020 core rulebook and in the Wild Side book, there's a little bit of it. There is a section about drugs. They tell you how you can make drugs, what the difficulty is, what side effects there are, what strength the drug has, what secondary side effects it has, and all the things that involve drugs. Basically, the way drugs work in Cyberpunk is they give you a temporary boost to either some of your skills or your stats while having some kind of terrible downside that makes it a balanced kind of booster, right? The downside to these drugs is you'll probably get super addicted right away the first time you do the drugs. And there's an explanation in the book that the drugs are more potent now and everything, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video and how I feel about that. But before I do, let's move on to another important part of the subject. And that is a philosophical question about what drugs actually are.
It isn't glamorous or cool or kid stuff.
Drugs are a social contract of the streets that let people know that you're not a square and you're not a cop, and that they can be comfortable doing illegal activities around you. Drugs are a social thing. People get together, they trade drugs, they sell drugs, they offer drugs, and I always found it a missed opportunity that people didn't use drugs in their roleplay environments, especially when they're hanging out in the criminal underground. In the criminal underground, dropping a bag of synth coke on the table for anybody to have at is a great way to make new friends. Obtaining, manufacturing, and selling drugs offer really cool plot points for game masters as well. So if your players are looking for something cool to do, a lot of the times if you have drugs revolving around it, there's really a clear-cut case on why things are being done. Drugs also offer a wild card. They offer a variable that can happen within the game that can send the players in a either handicapped situation or just another obstacle for them to overcome. For example, if they have a VIP that they're escorting, and this VIP cannot stop doing synth coke, he's making mistakes because he's synth coked out, and he's trying to find police and have conversations with them because he's delusional, and he's doing all that in your custody. This is an issue that players can deal with, that a GM can throw at them. Smack him over the head, knock him out, do something, but get that synth coke out of his hands because the guy cannot handle it.
It's the most addictive kind of cocaine, and it can kill you.
Drugs are a really cool way for you to meet new people, get into places that you usually wouldn't get into, and to make it look like you belong. Now let's go to the biggest issue in my mind about drugs in Cyberpunk 2020, and Red for that matter. In my opinion, I feel like drugs have been overly exaggerated in the books, and I understand that there is an explanation that these drugs are more potent and they're different than their counterparts from the past lifetimes, but I just don't see a demand for drugs that are so highly addictive. I mean, if you look at synth coke, it's almost impossible not to get addicted as soon as you take it the first time. And you got to understand, maybe it's because this book was written in the 90s and we had Dare and Just Say No and all that crazy stuff that had people really freaked out about drugs. I don't know. That's just speculation. But in my opinion, I feel like we're a little more educated about the effects of drugs and how serious they can be. And for that to say that it's so addictive right away it's a little tough for me to understand why anybody would want to buy that. Now, I understand the argument is it's potent, it's the next level up, and people that get it are okay with being addicted. That's a small portion of the world. You want everybody to be doing it, especially if it's a new synthetic coke. It's supposed to be a party drug. That means that everybody can take it. I would actually believe if it was not addictive at all. And like that's what they told you, but there is a psychological addiction and not a body addiction, right? So there's ways that you can mess around with the drugs and make it work for you. Now, synth coke being addictive, I understand. Its predecessor was cocaine, and it was pretty addictive as well. On the first time, on your first try, I don't know. I highly doubt someone would get addicted to anything on the first try. And if that's how it was designed, then I really don't see why people would want to buy that. Why would that be something that a corporate would purchase if they know that it can compromise their position in the company? They would just want to have fun in the moment, you know? They don't want to be addicted to anything. So that's something that corporates and people that have responsibilities just wouldn't take. Secondly, Smash is also addicting. And Smash is supposed to be some kind of legal beer, alcoholic beverage. But I understand that alcohol can be addictive, but I don't think that anybody should ever be able to get addicted to anything right off the bat. And the way the mechanics work in Cyberpunk is you make a body check against a certain difficulty value, and if you have resist torture drugs, it helps you with your roll. And if you beat the DV or difficulty value, then you're not addicted. If you fail, you're addicted, and you get all kinds of negatives to your stats. And every hour every hour you have to roll to see if you lose any negative modifiers or gain negative modifiers and stuff like that. And it's just, not only is it too much to keep track of, it just makes it so that's something that I don't want to even deal with. And because of that, we end up having players not trying drugs because they don't want to deal with any debuffs or anything like that. So in my opinion, it's very important to have drugs in your game. But I think it's also very important to try to figure out how you want to make it work for you, because the suggestions in the book make it really difficult for it to be a viable option within roleplay without suffering too many negative consequences. Find the balance, make it work for you, and make drugs part of the story, because that's what they are. Drugs are from the streets. They're our quick way of escaping the terrible things that are going on around us. So in the dark future, you know everybody's on drugs. Everybody's doing drugs, everybody's trading drugs. There's drugs going through the system legally, and it's no big deal. Make it a part of the world. Make it a part of conflict. Make it a part of contention, something that's going on in your story. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'll be doing more videos on subjects that are niche like this. Make sure you get the 2020 core rulebook and you go to those pages, make your own drugs, and check out the wild side for some additional ones. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. I appreciate the support. Take care. Bye.
Look, every Everybody wants to be cool. But doing it with crack isn't just wrong. It could be dead wrong.